weed is coming to gas stations.
Woo-wee.
They're starting with 10 stores in Florida. I mean, the moment weed becomes federally legal, someone like Circle K will be able to just put it into that distribution, and there you go.
You either have to ban alcohol and weed. We know alcohol is not getting banned. I see plenty of people on the way home from work stop by the gas station, pack of cigs, 6-pack.
Yeah, come on. And they're popping one of those early.
Yeah,
they're
bag of
breaking
Cheetos.
out a bottle early on the way home.
Yeah, they're cracking that thing open and they're fucking driving off into the sunset.
For sure.
Cash.
Ladies and gentlemen, group chat.
Cash.
It's $1 trillion. Hot.
Ladies and gents, welcome. It's group chat time. Anand's out, being rich. Dee and I are here, being
poor.
Yep. We have a hot pod for you. We got a lot to talk about. We got a lot of economy stuff going on. Of course, that's a hot topic. I will say, for anyone out there who's sick of it, this is a Kanye-free episode. So good for you. We took a break from Ye. I'm sure we'll have more on Sunday, but we're it's earnings season, so we got a lot of earnings numbers, stuff like that to talk about. Everyone loves that conversation. Big news for weed. If you're a weed guy or gal, big news for the weed world. And then we are ending with our winners, losers, and our content recommendations. Dee's got a hot content recommendation. If you need a good nap.
Very hot.
If you need a good nap this weekend that you're willing to pay $30 for, Dee's got you covered. Is this weekend opening weekend?
I think so.
Okay.
Big blockbuster.
We'll see. You ready, Dee?
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Hey, Dee.
Hey.
It's me and you today. It was me and Anand on Monday. It's me and you today. I'm really just holding this thing together. The real anchor of group chat. Who would have thought?
Yeah, you're day one.
Anand's living the high life. I did see a couple people catch him courtside.
Yeah, he had great seats.
Yeah, we saw a tweet. Someone caught it. So shout out to all the Kathys that played Where's Anand with us.
I mean, it's pretty hard to spot Indians at a Warriors game because half the stadium.
It's true. That's very true.
It's not like
just remember, listeners, if there is like a revolution, you know which group chat member to go after.
Yeah, the elite.
Yeah, Dee and I are here. We're in the office.
Yeah.
At home.
Capitalist
Go after
pig.
the pig. Go after the capitalist pig.
Slaughter them.
Take them down.
And their courtside seats.
Yeah, just go through courtside, and that's who you go for first.
Yeah, I mean, in a revolution, courtside gets wiped first.
Yeah, that should be, you can just really go through and make a list. I'll tell you what, a revolution might not be good for Indians, at least in this Bay Area.
Yeah.
Really hurt the Indian population. Yeah, you guys are doing well.
What's interesting was, you're constantly hearing like all these things about the economy, and whether it's a sporting event or airports or restaurants, I'm physically not seeing the softness. I think the softness is definitely at retail. We know that. But
like, you mean you're not seeing it with your eyes?
Yeah. Like I need to see it. Like it was so visible. Like I remember like the week before we shut down the country, like you went out and no one was out. Like you were like, people were scared. They were staying home. But, United Airlines reported earnings saying, demand is strong. The Delta we talked about last week, demand is strong. Airbnb is saying demand is strong. Like, I think travel, it doesn't seem like that's going to get impacted. Like, that's one category that seems like people want to go and push through.
Yeah.
Which is
I agree with you completely. And it also looks like Hermes. It looks like the world of luxury. I mean, I just really feel, I don't want to be too like alarmist or whatever here, but I think we've talked about like the wealth gap widening for some time. That was happening long before COVID, but I just feel like we're going to have some data here pretty soon that COVID, like the last 3 years, just widened that gap a lot, I think. Because like we talked about, like all these nice vacation destinations are packed, courtside is packed, travel's packed. We have a stat here that Hermes is cranking. I mean, it seems like all luxury is doing well. And then you literally have like these catastrophic stories from the other side.
Well, it
and
feels
people that will
like
never be able to buy a house, and people that, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because like if I just walk through my life if I have like different cohorts of friends, I'll be like, I hear one is talking about Birkins and Amans, and then the other is like, man,
gas.
I can't pay rent and gas is too expensive.
Yeah.
It's funny, just when you walk through New York City, you could see that dichotomy more than any other city, just because it's so densely populated, and you have like the richest people on earth, and then like the train conductor or construction worker, and you're hearing all these conversations, and you're hearing how each of them, like what they're talking about and what is concerning them. And it's such a weird, and it's always existed, but like to your point, with COVID, it feels like it's exasperated. And it really, like when you look at Hermes' sales, we should just dive into that. They reported a 24% growth in Q3. 24% in a retail luxury brand in basically a recession is just insane.
Insane. And just to keep in mind, we've said this a couple of times on the pod. We haven't personally, like we talk to a lot of people and buyers and all this stuff. And I would say unanimously, we have heard business is tough.
For everybody.
Everybody. I haven't heard one person that's, other than maybe our homie that was on the show that does the remote design work. He seems to be thriving. But other than that, everyone's having a tough time. And then you talk about these items that are the most expensive, which like kind of like, I guess there's a lane of like basic logic that would tell you the most expensive things would get hit the hardest, but man, not in luxury. It's just a different story.
It just shows that like the people that made money the last couple of years, they made so much money.
Yeah.
Like it's just irrelevant. Like they made like, buying an extra bag, going on an extra vacation, like, in Q3, guess how much revenue Hermes does. Keep in mind, this is a company that if you want to buy a Birkin bag, you physically can't get one. You have to have an in. I know someone that had to get an in from an in to get a fucking bag, okay? That cost between 10 and God knows how much the ceiling is based on the size. Guess how much revenue they did in Q3? Hermes.
200 million.
3 billion.
I mean, I knew I had no fucking idea. So I just threw out a number, but 3 billion.
Yeah.
And it's not like, this is what's so crazy is there are some brands, like, I don't know. I don't know what, like, for instance, like Fashion Nova does like a year, right? But I have an idea. And they just posted the other day, congrats on 100 million orders. So we know
billions.
Right? So we know that means billions. But like you see Fashion Nova, like you see it on people, you see it all over social media. In most places other than the coasts, for the most part in this country, you don't even see Hermes.
I'll give you even crazier statistics in their business, which is a small part of their business, a $400 million category. Watch sales were up 55%. I've never seen anyone wear an Hermes watch.
Never one time.
I've seen Birkin bags everywhere. I go out to dinner, I see women wearing Birkin bags.
Here, yeah.
Yeah, and I see them online. I see them on celebrities, Daily Mail. Like I see people wearing Birkin bags. $3 billion and 400 million watches. Like who is buying this watch?
Yeah, there's a market for this stuff that I can't wrap my head. Like I would say for the most part, when I hear brands sales, it makes sense with what you see in the
your
world.
eyes. Yeah.
Yeah, and you got to keep in mind, we're not talking about. I mean, we live in Los Angeles, like, one of the biggest cities in the world for luxury good consumption. You go to the entire rest of the country other than New York and Miami, there's not a Birkin in sight.
Yeah. It's, man, unbelievable. Just unbelievable.
You know, I was talking to Anand about the other day too, is like, I know that we love to make fun of, and so do I, about the kind of like everyone that thought they were going to get rich off of like NFTs and, you know, Cum Rocket and all this stuff over the last couple of years that just got creamed. And it's kind of like a haha, like told you so, it's not that easy moment. I do think that kind of the sad part is like we were edging onto a new world where like everyone got to participate in wealth creation and people got,
like,
you know,
remember
blah, blah,
the
blah.
GameStop? We were like, revolt
It's like
against the man.
democratizing investing. And like now everyone has such a bad taste in their mouth. And like, you know, the rich,
Just
certain
stay
ones
rich.
made it. And then everyone else, like they almost broke through.
Yeah.
You know, and it was like, God damn it. Now that's going to be your impression for the rest of that generation's life. A large portion of them is going to look at it as just unwinnable, rigged no matter what.
And so funny you say that. Josh was just telling me that he heard that Goldman Sachs said that it'll take another 30 years to get the interest rates that we had last 2 years. 30 years. And so if that's like, you know, let's just say people believe that, then the affordability of a home, the kind of aggressive spending by corporate America, all that stuff goes away in a high interest rate environment. So it's going to be incredibly difficult to build the hack on. There was, like you said, it was like 60 days from democratizing.
Almost there, man. It's such a bummer.
Yeah.
Because like I said, so much of it is just like like so many people have a bad idea of wealth creation because they think it's only available to a certain group and money is bad and people who have money are dicks. And like, it's just a belief system. And I feel like that belief system almost changed. And then it actually, now that story that is told to your kids and your whatever is that it's way worse than you originally even thought.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's crazy.
It's wild. Yeah. I mean, like to even like if Bitcoin went up 100% in the next year, which would make it this insane asset. Yeah. It's still fucking $20,000 away from its all-time high.
Yeah.
You know, it's had to go up another 50% from there to get back to an all-time high. That could take 5 years.
I mean, easy. And Bitcoin is, we were joking 6 months ago about how Anand was like the old dinosaur because he was still talking about Bitcoin. Bitcoin's the safest, you know, of all of them, or the most reliable or the most likely to really like gain true value.
Yeah.
Imagine if you just had a thesis on Cum Rocket or fucking even Doge. Even like there were people who put a lot of money into things like Doge because that seemed oddly enough to say now like a decent bet. But
so I had dinner last night with like 8 or 9 different Web3 founders. It just so happened they were Web3 founders. And it was pretty interesting. Like they definitely like felt a little dejected.
I mean, I would hope so.
But extremely optimistic that, and they all said the same thing, that the biggest risk is that the category becomes about like the appreciation of a token as opposed to the technology. These were like purists that were building stuff because they believed they were, you know, building products that can change the world and democratize all kinds of different financial functions. They all have such good intentions and are so brilliant just listening to them talk. It's just that like the air gets sucked out of you when you see, you know, what's happened. But I think, to be fair, like it does, like what's happening in that space is remarkable. And like Anand always used to say this, so I'll give him credit. He always said the smartest people in the world are working on this stuff. Like they're going to figure something out. Yeah,
I agree. I think long term, it's definitely a thing. It's just that, man, it got over its skis and just crazy. And every, like, you know, I told you guys that I get recognized a lot from group chat, and it felt to me like for 6 months, every time I would get recognized, somebody would ask me for advice on some obscure coin. It was always that. And it was always on a weird exchange because Robinhood didn't have it. And like everyone felt like they were on the verge of the lottery ticket. Like I think that the GameStop story being so big actually kind of fucked a lot of people up because it gave everyone hope that there was lottery tickets in there. And it's rough. Okay. Speaking of blood and guts, mortgage rates. I mean, we talked for a little while now about home sales and kind of they were holding strong for a little bit. And we were like, I don't know, is it really coming? What are we hearing from real estate people that we know, all that stuff? I mean, I would say like the downturn is here. The question is how deep, how long. But there's some stats here that are pretty gruesome. Yeah.
I think the big stat is obviously interest rates are now over 7%. The beginning of this year, they were at 3%, which the speed at which all this is happening is crazy. Yeah. Existing homes are selling at the slowest pace since September 2012, with the exception of that brief drop during the pandemic. And so things are happening fast in the housing market. Obviously, people haven't budged on price yet. Like prices aren't dropping in like places like LA and New York. So curious to see in most major markets, I think they're still holding okay. I think it's the secondary markets that are starting to see pain. But now, I mean, dude, I was looking at the mortgage payment for like a house that I would love to live in. It's so much more than it was like,
it's so crazy
2 years ago that like, it's like, they can't afford it. And who can afford it? The only people that can afford these homes now are people that can put down a lot, buy all cash, which will go back to the richest people again.
Yeah.
Like rich people will really benefit in this environment because they will find deals. Sellers will get desperate. They'll have all cash.
And once again, maybe this is just what a crash feels like, and maybe it's that I hadn't experienced one. It just blows my mind how we were talking once again 8 months ago about how people were buying a house sight unseen. If you even thought you could like show up to a walkthrough and like make an offer below sticker, you were out of your mind. It was like 200K above sticker, whatever, 10% above sticker, no matter what, no walkthrough. Like it happened so quick.
Yeah, it did happen quick. And the other thing that you're also seeing is that like, I think you haven't seen rents drop yet. So that's the next thing that has to drop. Mm-hmm. Rent needs to drop. And I think it'll probably happen next year, I hope, because that's obviously a big part of inflation. But I saw someone post on Twitter that he was like, I locked in a 2% interest rate last year. And he has cash. He's like, I can go get a treasury yield at 4%.
Yeah.
He's like, if I could put up enough money, I could basically live for free.
Yeah. It's wild, man. I mean, that's the story.
But that's like a rich person's like world, whereas the poor person is paying more rent and make it increasingly difficult now to own a home.
I mean, I think people were already talking about this before all of this crash, but like, I think this is the nail in the coffin for a lot of people in a certain age range that they'll never own a home.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe you buy a home when you're 60 and finally interest rates are back to where they were and mortgage rates are back down. Like, I don't know. I mean, it literally
just think about it. Me, you, Anand, none of us own a home.
I know, you're right. You're right. We might never.
I mean, there's a good chance I never own a home.
I think, to be honest, this is just how I feel today. I would have to make such a chunk of money where it didn't matter to really want to own a home, especially if rates are going to be this high for the foreseeable future. I don't know. It changed.
Like if I were to buy the house I am living in, my mortgage would be like double what I pay in rent. Why would I do that? Just so that I could say I own a home?
Quickly. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Why? Yeah, that changed so quickly. It was literally.
I don't care. I don't need to say this is my house.
Yeah, that's
actually
that's
someone
how I
knocked
feel.
on the door the other day. They're like, "Are you the owner of the home?" I'm like, "No, I'm not." And the guy
No,
left.
thank you.
Yeah. He was trying to sell
Yeah.
like solar panels. I'm like, nah, you know what? I don't need to be energy efficient. It's
That's
not my
nice.
house.
Yeah. And I feel like in this generation, I mean, obviously it's different with you guys right now because you have kids, but also, you know, they'll get older and be on their own and whatever. And like, just the ability to travel and, you know, rent a spot for a month if you wanted to in New York.
Yeah.
Or, you know, like, I don't know.
I mean, Dominic's 5. In 13 years, he's already going to be out of the house. Do I need to buy a house for 13 years?
In really 10 years, I want you out of the house anyway. He would love to have like a weekend, you know, without dad. But I don't know. It doesn't quite make sense unless you just made so much money. Like if you had got an exit or something, sure,
Yeah.
why not?
That's different. But right
why
now,
lock in?
where I sit, I would have to live in a worse place.
Especially because there's not
Half
even
is
really
worse. I have to live in half as worse place.
Half is worse. And there also used to be this kind of thing where you were always like, well, fuck it. I could buy this home and then I could move or I could go out of town for 3 months or I could whatever. And I could Airbnb it or I could rent it out and I would make money.
Yeah.
And now that that's not the case at the moment, at least they're just locked into this thing. It's pretty wild.
It's a really wild one.
Okay. What about Tesla? Tesla's having some trouble today. Our old buddy.
Yeah. The stock slid today.
Missed earnings.
Missed earnings. No, they beat expectations on earning. Revenue was a little light, and it's just like it's weird because they expect 50% annual growth in production, but they think they'll deliver just under that 50% growth due to an increase in the cars in transit at the end of the year.
Yeah, got it.
It just sounds like this company, and when I look at it just from a surface level, the company looks on absolute fire.
Yeah.
It just, I don't know, the way that people look at this company, there's a lot of people that think there's a crazy fraud going on at Tesla. Like all these people are like, oh, why is there inventory levels here? Why is there capex here? There's a lot of people that keep calling out and think there's
they're
some
just
funny
fudging
business.
the numbers.
I don't know. They smell the eye test to me, or the smell test.
Yeah.
They pass the smell test, I mean.
Yeah.
Will you drive around? All I see is Teslas.
That, unlike Hermes, this makes sense.
Yeah, like they seem like they're completely untouchable.
Yeah. I mean, would they really, like, I don't know.
What kind
I
of
just think
funny business could they be doing?
I know, and because they know that they have such an eye on them. They know they have a bullseye on their back. You have to be really reckless to fudge numbers in that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know. What do I really know? I'm not a fucking analyst for a living, but it seems to me like there's a lot of people with financial investment for Tesla to fail.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot of people that want to make the case and want to be right and just want it to fail so badly. And there's people who just hate Elon, and there's people who, whatever, it's too good to be true. He won't figure this out. It just seems to me like there's a lot of people with they're incentivized if they do bad. And so why not make a case for why they are bad?
Yeah.
Why not write articles? Why not, you know?
Yeah. And I think that's really what, I'm really curious because like I'm not looking at the financials closely at all, but like I just follow these like analysts that think there's some funny business going on, which I don't know. I mean, like you see the product. It's not like these other EVs that you've never seen. Like who's seen a Nikola anywhere? I've seen one. Yeah. I've seen like one Rivian. You know, it's like,
yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Like there's that one guy that has it in LA and you see him driving around.
Yeah.
But like you see Tesla everywhere you go. Everyone has a Tesla.
Everywhere.
You go to the
I also
grocery
feel like
store.
the one thing that these people don't understand is like they only look at the details of the numbers as opposed to understanding brand. Like that's why they just didn't understand GameStop, for instance, like at all. Like even though GameStop was pure fuckery, I understand it. We know why it works. That's the same way that a clothing brand catches on is the way that GameStop stock caught on. Yeah. I think that these people don't look at brand. And I mean, there is not one other than like Ferrari, Lamborghini up in that range. There is not one car company that is anywhere near as cool as Tesla or as widely just loved.
Yeah. I agree. And I think if you assume that they're going to, like, you have to treat Tesla like you treat Apple, where you have this like super innovative founder, and cars is just the beginning. Like,
they're fucking robots, for God's sake.
Yeah, they got the robot. Like, you're not going to pick up a Tesla robot? Why not?
Yeah, come on. I saw that thing. That thing can.
I mean, Tesla, I bet you that
desk.
robot is just going to be like the new security at your house. You put a robot outside your house, you give him a pistol.
Yeah.
You know, someone comes in, he just shoots you.
And then right now, like, we'd be recording, he'd come in, bring me on fresh water.
Yeah.
Take off.
Yeah, get out of here.
Yeah. I don't know. I also saw people posting, this is also way over my head, but like, just that the software that they are developing is like so innovative beyond even just their cars.
Yeah.
And just they're so far ahead of everyone in like applicable software and self-driving. And, you know, I don't know, when somebody has that big of a head start on these markets that are like $1 trillion markets, you know, you figure out self-driving and they own that technology.
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap. Who cares how many fucking Model 3s they sold?
Yeah, then their Uber meets Postmates, Pete's, you know, the new trucking industry. And what's interesting is a Tesla picked us up for a Uber ride the other night. And I was like, yo, why are you going this way? Like, like questioning him the directions where we're going. And he's like, I'm using my Tesla map. I'm like, okay, but like, what does your Google map say? He goes, oh, go this way. And he goes, honestly, I'm done with Google Maps. Tesla is giving me live data based on other cars driving. Yeah. I feel more comfortable with that. Okay.
That's so sick.
Yeah.
If they can beat Google Waze on calendar, then they can do whatever. I saw they just delivered or scheduled their first delivery to Pepsi for their first semi.
That's insane.
So that's real. I don't know. Once again, I understand. And who knows, we might be wrong. And maybe they, get smacked for fraud in 6 months. Who the hell knows? But it just seems to me like if you're going to place a bet on all of these things, this seems like a decent bet. And keep in mind, this is not official financial advice.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay. I think I missed something here. Did New York legalize gambling? Is that like a new thing?
I think it's like a discussion. I don't think it's like, I don't know to the extent of what's happening there, but there's a New York City casino license that apparently is up for grabs.
Interesting.
That I don't know the like where they're at with it. But it sounds like there's one of 3 new casino licenses in the New York City area approved by state legislators earlier this year. And so it is real, but it's probably going to take a long time. There's probably all kinds of legal stuff that needs to happen, and it's probably pretty complex. Yeah. But the 2 ideas are Caesar's Palace wants to be put in Times Square.
I mean, are you kidding me? That would be the craziest.
Can you imagine?
How much revenue is that?
First of all, revenue, and then just add like the absolute chaos of like, I mean, New York City already, like if there's a sporting event that, like the Yankees or the Rangers, these people are already like crazy lunatics.
Yeah.
You toss in gambling.
I mean, I will never forget one time when I was kind of new to New York, I went to a movie at the movie theater in Times Square. And it was so fucking crazy. It was people yelling throughout the whole movie, standing up, running over. It was wild. It was unlike any movie experience. It was just because it was Times Square. It wasn't, I don't even remember. It was not because of the movie. It wasn't a holiday. It was just Times Square is wild. And if you threw a casino on top of that, holy shit.
I get it. It's probably really good for tourism and revenue.
Yeah,
I think it's bad for society to put it there.
Yeah, it seems like it could. I would be curious to see the before and after of crime in the area.
Yeah, I just think that I want to make sure that like they're like thinking there's like a health study also done. So the Wynn is considering the Hudson Yards, which is the new development along the West Side Highway. That area is amazing. It's super nice, clean, but I don't know. Times Square just already seems way too chaotic. You toss in gambling and alcohol, and it's open, God knows, probably 24 hours a day.
Yeah. Plus, if they don't get crime, crime's up already in Manhattan.
Yeah. What do you think? What do you think when you're down on your luck? Where do you go? You're not going to the library. I'll
tell you what, I obviously grew up around Cleveland. Like I would go up to Cleveland to skateboard every weekend. And, Cleveland has had its struggles. And they added a casino in the middle of Cleveland. And when I went back one time to visit, I don't know. It's just not something good to throw on a place that is already
struggling
on the edge. You know what I'm saying? And even though Times Square is beautiful and there's lots of money involved in Times Square and whatever, if you actually walk around Times Square, it can get a little sketch. And man, that would just be like throwing a match in gasoline, I feel like. But hey, great. I mean, for Caesars, hell of a business if they get it.
I'm curious to see. It's probably gonna take 10 years, right? Nothing's gonna.
Yeah. But either way, I mean, crime might be a little bit more solved, but I'd place a bet that Times Square is still sketchy in 10 years.
Yeah. That's not changing.
Yeah. Oh my God. Okay. Here's a tweet that I just wanted to, ask you about. It's not my place to speak on it. Patels make up less than 1 in 500 Americans. So 1 in 500 Americans is a Patel. And by Patel, we mean the last name Patel.
Mm-hmm.
But they own over 50% of all motels in the country.
Yeah.
Over $100 billion of motels are owned by Patels.
Yeah. So like growing up, if you knew a Patel, family members say, oh, they're Patel Motel owners. Like they owned motels and in whatever city they lived in. That has now grown into, because I know some of these families who started with like one motel in downtown LA. Some of these families have built mega hospitality empires now. And now they own like flagship banners. They own the Marriotts and the Four Seasons, and they own these are all franchised properties. So you can own, depending on the city, they have different deals. So they've now expanded. Like when you go to New York City and you stay at some hotel, you'll see the staff is all Indian, and it's like, oh, okay, well, I see what's going on here.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating is that like $100 billion of all motels are owned by Patels.
But why is it Patels? Am I stupid here?
It's just it's that particular community in. Does
that mean that they're all from a certain area in India?
Yeah. So it is just kind of like a community, a subsect of Indian culture that really are like they're predominantly Gujarati Indians.
Got it.
That are known to be more like entrepreneurial.
So that's a common last name in that subset.
Yes. And they all came to America, and someone broke it down really interesting on Twitter. So this guy, Rohan, posted this, and then another guy named Naveen kind of commented and said, there is a common theme with Dunkin' Donuts, 7-Eleven, cabs, hotels, motels, gas station, and Indians, because they were able to leverage human capital, aka family, as all of these businesses operate 24/7. So basic form of leverage. And so if you wanted to, like I knew people, Patel Motel, where their family lived in the motel and everyone in the family helped run the motel. And then that's how they survived in America. And these businesses ended up thriving. And now these people are just become like bazillionaires.
That's amazing.
Because they've it's like that type of kind of necessity entrepreneurship really only happens to immigrants. Like, because you have no other choice, so you do it. But that is where like an enormous amount of wealth has been created in America. And it's not like the sexy stories you hear, but like specifically in the Indian community, there's so many people like this that, they own the 7-Eleven, then they own 30.
Yeah.
And they grind it out in the 7-Elevens. Their cousins, their uncles, they bring family from India and Pakistan and Bangladesh, and they just do it. And they just suck it up. And then 30 years later, they're bazillionaires.
That's so cool. I would love to like understand that a little deeper. Is the lesson like family, or is it a culture of one approach, or, that's really fascinating. Like if you look at how massive that has become over a relatively short period of time, it's not like we're talking about like, oil families or whatever. It's really fucking fascinating.
Yeah, it's really over the last like 30, 40 years, all this wealth has been created. Yeah. And it's also this desire to do whatever it takes and do the unsexy jobs. I think people mistake that the only ways to create wealth in America are being in technology or being in whatever, where there's always that notion in America, the millionaire next door. And it's just people that just worked hard, did stuff that other people didn't want to do, shut up and dribbled. And next thing you know, they're millionaires.
Yeah. It's also like extreme focus. Like, okay, this strategy works. Yeah. Let's keep doing it. And then obviously like there was information being sent back to India. Like, hey, there is a path here. Yeah. Come over. We got to think. Like, it's just pretty wild to, like this type of stat. I mean, people with one common last name own over 50% of motels. That's wild. Because who are all the Indians that also own some but don't have the name Patel?
It's where
like,
you're
is it
based.
90% of Indians?
Like for example, like we're from Bangalore, South India. Our relatives, literally every single one of my cousins, uncles, aunts, are either engineers or doctors. Nothing else. No business owners. Yeah. Like we don't own, like our community in Bangalore that came here didn't own businesses. They literally were all mechanical, civil, aerospace engineers, doctor. Yeah. That's our community. And so within India, it's like pretty separated based on what part of India your kind of, background was and what your parents did and what your family did. Like we literally do not have a business owner until like, I think my mom started the travel agency. She was like our first business owner in our kind of extended family.
It's just wild. And then if you compare, like, you take a family of like Americans and it's like TikToker, YouTuber, TikToker,
Uber driver,
Uber driver, vlogger. Oh, man. Okay. Well, that's great. That's a fascinating statistic. And I just feel like there's some real lessons in that info about culture and family and focus.
Yeah.
Okay. We have an interesting thing happening now. We've talked about this a little bit as well about, crypto is new on the scene. Everyone's getting into it and not everyone is properly, using safety protocols. And therefore there has been a lot of hacks, a lot of stolen crypto. And now we're at the phase where the, Department of Justice and people are getting involved to try to recover the stolen crypto. And so, I don't know, I guess it's just like an online fucking bank heist, right? Like they're trying to track this stuff down, trying to figure out how to recover it. I can imagine it's extremely challenging. And now, it's starting the process of, okay, hey, I had a bunch of my crypto stolen from my, my exchange or whatever. Department of Justice, I heard you seized it. How do I get it back? What do I do? And it just feels like very uncharted territory that I think what happens now will sort of begin the groundwork for how we deal with these things in the future. But it's a really interesting time.
Yeah. And even the way that they structured it. So like, there's a ton of people from that lost in a 2016 hack called Bitfinex, $70 million. And this guy Frankie lost 15 Bitcoins in 2016. 15 Bitcoins today is worth $300,000.
Yeah.
Right? It's like life-changing amount of money. And what's happened now is they're trying to work with the Department of Justice to get people back their money. But the way they did it is you got a Bitfinex token to the equivalent value of the Bitcoin. And so
of it today or when you lost it?
Yeah, of when you lost it.
Oh boy.
And so I'm sorry. So you got whatever the present value is.
Okay.
And they pegged them to $1 per BFX token. And then they put them on the open market so it was liquid. And then they crashed to like 20 cents.
Christ. What a stupid.
So this guy had 91 Bitcoin and then he sold the tokens and he was only able to get 25% of their value.
So where did the Bitcoin go though? Right? Like if they recovered it, someone's holding on to that Bitcoin while somebody else just got screwed with Bitfinex coin.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
right? Like imagine
what
you're
is
the
this
exchange.
cockamamie shit?
Oh
Why
my
aren't you just
God.
giving people back their Bitcoin? I know there's going to be like, someone's going to be like, oh, well, it's on the blockchain.
Yeah. Like imagine, I'm not saying this is what happened.
Write them a check. What is this like bullshit token, this, that?
But somebody, if they recovered it, somebody has it. You can transfer it to them.
This is why you get a ledger. Head over to shop.ledger.com.
Oh my God, no shit. If I've ever heard a case, this is the case.
They actually recovered the coins and everyone still got screwed.
Somebody has them, bro. Just imagine if you're the exchange and you're like, okay, we recovered all this Bitcoin. Now, let's say we have, 10,000 Bitcoins that we recovered. Let's give everyone blah, blah, blah coin. While we hold the Bitcoin, that price crashes. You just made out like a bandit. And all these people have to, use their coins on your platform? I'm not saying that's what happened for the sake of, I don't want to slander anyone, but holy shit, somebody got screwed here.
Yeah, and I think they just need to look, this is going to continue to happen. So either go get a ledger or go figure out how to reclaim people's what they've stolen.
A ledger's much easier.
Yes, exactly.
Holy cow. Okay, get yourself a damn ledger. How about this? This was a huge story I saw all over the social medias yesterday. Weed is coming to gas stations.
Woo-wee.
So apparently Circle K has done a deal with Green Thumb Industries. They're starting with 10 stores in Florida.
Mm-hmm.
But I think everyone, at least in my world, when everyone tried to explain a world where weed was federally legal, they always explained, like, imagine you go into the gas station and you can just buy a joint next to the cigarettes. And even though it's only 10 stores and it's only in Florida, it's a big deal. And I have to believe that, the moment weed becomes federally legal, someone like Circle K will be able to just put it into that distribution and there you go.
Yeah, it's interesting because there's so many interesting legal developments in weed while simultaneously the price of cannabis has plummeted.
Oh, has it? I didn't even know that.
Yeah. So the actual raw flower is cheaper than ever. Everyone who's in the industry has told me there's a glut. There's an inventory surplus of just flower out in the market. On top of that, you're hearing some progress being made. Okay, Florida's going to allow these 10 gas stations to carry marijuana. It was interesting because people are like, oh, they're just going to let people pull up in their cars and buy weed. You could buy alcohol.
Yeah, what are you talking about?
Who cares? Yeah, you either have to ban alcohol and weed. We know alcohol is not getting banned. I see plenty of people on the way home from work stop by the gas station, pack of cigs, 6-pack.
Yeah, come on. And they're popping one of those early.
Yeah,
they're
bag of
breaking
Cheetos,
out a bottle early on the way home.
Yeah, they're cracking that thing open and they're fucking driving off into the sunset.
For sure. Yeah. I've witnessed it. I've seen people pop open a tall boy, wrap it in a brown paper bag, and hit the road.
That's so slick. I think it's smarter to just leave it and be like, nah, no, it's just been sitting there.
Yeah.
As opposed to like hiding it in a brown paper bag.
Yeah.
Idiots.
Brown paper bag is like, come on. I mean, you can choose any other strategy.
I can also tell you the amount of people that have their window down and are just driving, smoking a joint all day.
All day. Yeah. I mean, look, big deal. Obviously, yes, it's not like, once again, in a perfect world, that doesn't happen. But I don't know. I mean, look, if you could give me an option of driving on the road next to someone smoking a joint or looking at TikTok on their phone, I would choose the joint all day long.
Yeah.
And then, of course, alcohol, that's going to be last in line. But like, I mean, come on. Let's loosen up.
There's a report Forbes just came out with literally just now that says that TikTok employees were tracking American citizens' physical locations. No shit. I mean, what are these big surprises? Big reporting.
I think we're probably going to get the most no shit news out of TikTok for the next, 5 years.
TikTok picked Donald Trump as president. TikTok picked Joe Biden as president.
That's the thing is like, at least with Facebook, we got the whole like Cambridge Analytica. We got all of that. We don't know if that were to happen with TikTok. We wouldn't even know.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's nuts. It's absolutely nuts.
Yeah. I think, look, the weed thing, I think it's great. It's, of course, people shouldn't be smoking and driving and of course, but you can't.
Thank you for your public service announcement.
For me?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, hey, I hope at least if I can save one high driver, I will. But what I'm saying is don't fucking, after alcohol is just sold by the truckloads, don't try to make a case you shouldn't be able to buy a joint at a gas station.
Yeah.
Love it. Okay. This is pretty fascinating. Lids, the retailer that sells hats. Great store, big part of my childhood, still going strong. They released a map, essentially. It's a map of the US with all the states, and it shows which team is the highest seller in their stores in that state.
Pretty fascinating, isn't it?
So, yeah, like what I was going to say is there's a lot that is not fascinating at all. It is just, the major, California's Lakers, Nevada's Lakers, which is interesting. But Arizona's Suns, whatever. The states are with the big teams. They support their teams. The other part is pretty much everybody else
is one team.
Likes the Bulls.
The Bulls.
Everybody else. It's literally, if you have a big team, you got it. That team has the state. You want
to know that's really funny about the overlap of Bulls fans and America?
What?
They're literally red states, every single one of them in real life. There's a little, Ohio's one that flip-flops here and there. But Michael Jordan,
support the Cavs?
Michael Jordan historically has said Republicans wear sneakers too.
That's true.
And so the Republicans have stuck by the Bulls in these trying times.
Here's my question. If Michael Jordan never existed, does this map look the same?
No one's wearing the Bulls.
So this is the effect
of one human being.
Much longer of one player.
And I also think it's that he said Republicans wear sneakers too.
Yeah,
he's never been politically charged.
You're saying,
figure.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, whereas LeBron's very polarizing. Yeah. Like, you talk to a conservative person, they do not like LeBron James.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
What
the other fascinating thing about this list is New York is the Lakers.
Yeah. Well, yeah. New York teams suck, right?
Yeah.
Lakers, though, that's interesting. That's probably people literally traveling from LA to New York and picking up something while they're out there.
Yeah, like tourists.
How long ago? When do you think Jordan? What was his last season with the Bulls?
90s, 1998.
Yeah. So
20-something years ago.
20-something years, man. I will say, though, there's something about the Bulls. Maybe I'm impacted by Jordan, too. There's something about the Bulls brand that's just...
It's Michael Jordan. It's not... Bulls suck. It's Michael Jordan.
I mean, the other day I was on the Nike site And I bought a few like a while ago, like 6 months ago, I bought a few LeBron jerseys, right? For summer, like whatever, I'll wear jerseys.
Yeah.
Cool look. Support LeBron. Great.
Yeah.
And the other day I was on the Nike site. I'm like, for some reason, I just want a Bulls jersey.
Yeah.
Like they're just sick, they're just red jerseys.
I mean, I
They're
have a
just
Michael
cool.
Jordan jersey. It's like the only basketball jersey I have. It's Michael Jordan. And I'm like,
Yeah.
it's still cool. It's Michael Jordan.
That is wild. Okay, well, shout out to the Bulls. I mean, I'd love to see, what I'd love to see is overall merch sales per team.
So top selling NBA jersey is LeBron James.
Yeah.
This is 2022 off season. Really odd. Number 2 is Scottie Pippen.
He was part of the era.
But number 3 was Vince Carter. Number 4, Steph Curry. Number 5, Michael Jordan. Then Penny Hardaway. Then Kobe. Then AI. Then Kevin Durant and Dennis Rodman.
Did you say LeBron, Pippen?
LeBron number 1, Pippen 2.
Okay, that makes no sense. I was thinking Chicago jerseys.
No.
Jordan, Pippen. Okay, that makes no sense.
Dennis Rodman at Lids off season 2022 is number 10. The current NBA players are fucking irrelevant. LeBron and Steph Curry, the only 2. And they have like 10 titles between the 2 of them. So I guess like they have to be that good. Whereas these legacy players had such a bigger cultural impact than current players are having.
If I was the NBA, I would be encouraging, like I know just from my outside view, I know the refs have been like a little whack lately, a little over call-y, a little like you should be encouraging the next Dennis Rodman.
Yeah.
Like, let people shove a little, catch a little elbow, dye your hair, go wide. Like you need stars so badly.
Yeah. Some lunatic.
Get some lunatics. Make it fun. Okay. There you have it. Let's finish out strong with our winners, losers, and content recommendations. Who is your winner for the last week?
My winner is the single most incompetent person in political history, which is
winner.
It's just my winner. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
The UK Prime Minister, after serving only 44 days in office, has resigned from her post. And
this is who replaced Boris?
Boris.
They made it 44 days.
44 days. And there was a famous thing that's been happening where a lettuce, who would last longer, a head of lettuce or Liz Truss? The lettuce lasted longer.
Oh, my God.
And so the reason why she's my winner is she now is eligible to collect a lifetime yearly allowance of £115,000. God save the king.
After 44 days of work?
Yeah.
Oh, God save the king, man. I mean, what'd she do? What'd she do wrong? Why'd she get the boot so quick?
Because she was the one that did this crazy sweeping tax cuts that caused the UK bond market to basically collapse, that caused like a global ripple effect, caused crazy panic in the pound, and where the currency started to drop. So she started to recoil that. Then they obviously realized she's incompetent.
Yeah.
And she was like, I better get out of here before I burn the monarchy down.
What type of, is she like right, left? Like,
yeah, conservative. So now the front runner to be prime minister, Boris Johnson.
Are you kidding?
They're kind of, like, man, the sun really has set on the British Empire. They really blew that shit up.
Yeah, they fucked up.
They could be like the biggest fumble of like global history. You had the whole world. How did you just give shit up?
They gave it all up. Especially when you talk about, which one was it that was involved with Epstein?
Prince Andrew.
And then you have, the Queen passing, and then you have, just the whole debacle with Meghan Markle, just that whole drama, and then Brexit.
Yeah.
They're just handing it over. I mean, yeah. Okay.
Bag fumble.
Okay. Well, that's a winner. Good for her. She can chill for the rest of her life now.
Yep.
My winner. Oh, you want to know my winner? I have an obscure winner. Now that I am a big golf personality, my winner is Fred Couples. He's a legendary golfer. He is 63 years old, and last weekend he shot This is why I'm investing in golf early, because I can play. This guy at 63 years old shot a career low of 60, which par
Wow.
is 72. Shot a
In
career
a tournament?
in a tournament, and he won the tournament. He ended up 20 under par, 63 years old. So
Well,
I'm investing now so that I can have my record in 30 years.
The great thing about golf, it's not a real sport. So you could play it at any age. You could be 63 years old and fucking have your best round of golf ever.
Yep, that's fair. I'm not even offended by that.
It's a game. It's not a sport. I'm sorry, kids.
That's fair. Yeah.
It's a great game.
I mean, I would say Tiger Woods is the one who sort of made golfers start thinking that
Why?
maybe they
Because
should.
he had a few muscles?
Yeah, well, yes, Tiger is the one who made golfers be like, oh, maybe we should start like working out or something.
Lifting out, yeah. The cigarettes and beer wasn't a good. When I remember I saw John Daly as a kid, I was like, come on, this isn't real.
And John Daly's still fucking good. And his son's like a mini version of him, and he's good too.
That's what I'm saying. If you can just smoke and drink all day, I'm sorry, it's not a sport.
That's fair. That's totally fair. It's a game.
Because even the adults that still like, the 40-year-old pickup basketball league, they're not getting hammered during the game.
No.
The 40-year-old that goes to play golf today is getting blackout drunk over
literally
the next
chowing down on hot dogs and getting blacked out and smoking cigars.
That's not a sport.
That's totally fair. Okay, well, shout out to Fred Couples, man. That's why I'm doing it. I love my like workouts. I love my boxing. I love whatever, but that's going to come to an end. Especially boxing. That is a short shelf life. Golfing, man, I'll be cruising for a long time.
Agreed.
Who's your loser?
My loser is Snapchat. They just came out with the earnings. Their stock has gone down 20% in after hours. I looked at this. They're still, they made a little bit of money. Their revenue missed a little. Their global daily active users came in at 363 million versus 358 million. Obviously, their growth is slowing in terms of revenue, and that's why the stock got clobbered. Mm-hmm. But I'll be honest, they're hanging in there. I
mean, they've had a rough go at it.
But they're hanging in there. Yeah. The thing is like the stock is down another 20%. It's down to like $8. I think that makes it like a $14 billion company. Still a huge company. They are cutting workforce. He authorized, the company's board is buying $500 million of stock. I don't like that. Like, I don't think that's the best use of cash when you're kind of like in a existential crisis with your company. So I don't agree with that, but Snap has always found a way to just stay relevant. And
they have, man.
I think I'm not counting Snapchat out. I think they always figure it out. They found a core audience of people. I think it feels overblown, but what do I know? And they're taking aggressive. They cut 20% of their staff.
Yep.
That means that like they're serious.
Evan Spiegel's a fighter, man. I would love, this is what my best case scenario would be. Snapchat ends up in a really good place in 10 years. And then Spiegel, like, I don't know. There's some real lessons in like perseverance there. We've seen plenty of businesses that like have a thing, they try that thing. And if that thing doesn't work, they stop. Yeah. And this guy is just pivoted after pivoted. Like I know what I don't know all of it, obviously, not even close, but I see what they're doing now, which is trying to bring much better, like higher quality content onto the platform from publishers to try to get better for ad dollars content as opposed to a lot of the like bullshit that's on there now. Like it's just another strategy. Like they're continuously trying things, kind of making some progress, getting set back, trying again. Yeah. It's really cool. Okay.
I agree.
My loser, you want to know who I'm going to say my loser is? My loser is, I think my loser is the Democrats leading into the elections here. I just think it's rough. I think, for the record, I'm a registered Democrat, but I think it's It's rough, and everything going on with the economy and going on with, I don't know, even the way that they're being sort of talked about with like the censoring and the cancellations and all of this stuff. It just looks rough. And I don't know. I hope things go well in the midterms, but we did Anand and I talked about like the keywords that Democrats and Republicans are using to target people in their Facebook ads. Yeah. And one of the fascinating things was the Democrats specifically keep out anything Joe Rogan. And the reason why that's so silly to me is because Joe Rogan on his podcast openly says he's a Democrat. And this is the biggest media personality on earth saying openly that he's a Democrat. Meanwhile, I just happened to see a Fox News, YouTube post where all they're doing is talking about Joe Rogan, even though Joe Rogan says he's a Democrat on his podcast. And it's just, I don't know. I worry about the strategy leading up to the midterms.
Yeah. And I mean, I think LA will be a really good, interesting test to see, like, where is the voter? Like Rick Caruso versus Karen Bass. It looks like it's a little closer than I think people thought it was going to be. Yeah. So it'll probably go down on election day, like who's going to win. Yeah. It won't be like Karen Bass was really ahead, and it seems like Rick Caruso has closed the gap according to some of the latest polls. Yeah. But yeah, I think politically, it's a super important election because it will really give you the pulse of where the country's at, given, like I think we talked about it in previous episodes. There's a lot of well-known independents and Democrats that are knowingly supporting Republican candidates that are like election deniers because of the economy. So that if people are willing to look the other way on that, and all they care about is the economy, the Democrats are in a tough spot.
It's pretty rough.
Yeah.
Okay. Any content recommendations for the weekend?
Yes, I do have one. It's called The Black Adam.
Oh,
it is
God.
The Rock's new film that was, I read a review this morning. Someone said it's the worst movie ever. Another person said that it is bland and predictable. Guess what, bitch? That's what I want. I want bland and predictable. I'm not looking for surprises.
Yeah. So you're signed up. You're ready to go. You heard all you need to hear.
Yeah. I mean, what are you trying to, this is not like, I don't need to be,
I get it.
I'm not looking for fucking inspiration in a movie.
Intellectually stimulated.
I'm looking for fight scenes, entertainment, couple laughs, maybe The Rock flexing some muscles, do his eye thing.
Yeah. The
Keep
eyebrow.
it simple.
But the problem is you're not going to see that for 9 months.
Well, if it's this bad, I could see it in 6 months, because really bad movies get on planes fast.
That's true. Okay, so you're excited. So the countdown begins. You heard everything you need to hear to be fully engaged. And as soon as that thing's on Delta, you're checking it out.
100%. I'm a United guy now. I don't do Delta. Delta's too rich.
Wow.
It's too expensive. Okay. I'm done with Delta.
Okay. Great point. Mine is a book. I have another book. I got a lot of feedback. I posted a book on my story. Everyone loves the books. And when I say everyone, I mean 3 people sent me a DM. There's a book called
Michael and Risa.
Michael, Risa, and one stranger. There's a book called The Myth of Normal. It is incredible. And I would say...
What's the myth?
The myth is that essentially... Why do we live in a society that is making so many people depressed, anxious, addicted to pain pills, blah, blah, blah? It's because the culture of our society is not normal, even though it is called normal.
That's literally, I've been telling that to people for so long. I feel like young people are forced now to be quirky, to stand out, so that you're not forgotten. Whereas, everyone's looking for their tribe of their brand.
Yeah. You should have wrote the book.
Because
you've been on it for years.
Yeah. I'm all about normal. I
Yeah.
like normal AF. That'd be
Like
my
actual
book.
normal. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really good. And I would say also for any of the listeners out there that have kids, it's really interesting. Like, I think it's interesting, but obviously I don't have kids. Like, they're just talking about how much, like, even the way that parents are taught to, like, do you leave your kid crying in the room if they're crying and they're not going to bed? And what happens if you do that? And a lot of very famous parenting experts say, let them cry or let them whatever.
So we
just,
let them cry. What is that? We let them cry. We never went in.
Deal.
Uh-oh.
Bad deal. You're setting them up for failure.
Why? I'm teaching them how to solve problems on their own.
No, I think that the theory is that they need to feel supported at a young age.
God.
That they have a strong support system, and then they learn to become sort of self-sufficient on their own. But
that sounds woke.
if you leave them crying, what they learn is, I'm not worthy of care.
Interesting. I'm taking the opposite view on that one.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. Give it, 12, 15 years. We'll see. I don't know. I mean, nobody knows. There'll be another book in 12 years that says, always let them cry. So yeah, I'm sure you're doing fine. But it's just fascinating too. Really more so, not that it gives like parenting advice, but like...
No, I get it. Yeah, it's interesting.
But the book talks about like how people like raised one way can start, have these troubles later in life and blah, blah, blah. It's really interesting.
I love reading all about all those things. I think it's super helpful, especially when it comes to parenting, especially the language you use and how you handle those situations.
Yeah, that's really great. Okay, that's it. That's my content. That's all we got. Anything we're missing? We got a shout out?
Ari's got a shout out.
Yeah, I want to shout out Ali and Asif from Car Trackers. I leased my car and it was due a couple of weeks ago, and they made it super easy. Tow truck shows up to your place, picks up your car, they mail you the papers. Literally, like, it's so amazing.
But you had a lease.
I had a lease. And so...
When was the lease ending?
On the 15th.
What'd they do? They sold it?
Before the lease, you sold it.
But no, it was after the lease. My lease was due. I was like, oh my God, I got to go return this car. I was like, I don't want to drive all the way to Alhambra where the dealership is. And instead, I hit up Ali. He's like, okay, we got you. Sends a tow truck. Tow truck picks up the car.
Just to return your car?
Yeah. He sends a tow truck.
But why?
Just to
What did
take
they
the car
do?
away.
What did they make?
And they paid me. They paid me $1,000.
Because you had equity in the car.
Yeah.
They bought it and then they sold it.
And they sold it.
Incredible. Because I was like, you're just too fucking lazy to drive to Alhambra?
No.
They gave you $1,000? That sounds stupid.
No, they bought it.
I don't know about car trackers then.
They bought it. They bought it.
Just a tow truck company that pays money?
Yeah, here's $1,000. The tow truck they steal the car.
And now the dealership's calling. The dealership calls Ari next week. Hey, where's the fucking car, dude?
When Ari gets arrested in 2 weeks, we're like, the car
that's
tracker.
Amazing. I bet you wish you had a car tracker now.
No, but seriously, they're awesome. Like,
Yeah,
I got my cash
totally kidding.
immediately.
They are awesome. They're great.
Yeah.
As supporters of the podcast, I can't tell you. I'll just be walking down the street and be like, oh yeah, I use car trackers.
I know.
It's insane.
Probably the most of anything we've supported on the pod.
It's insane.
Yep. They must be doing a great job if that many people. I mean, some people say to me like, oh yeah, man, I drink liquid IV or got my Ledger. Like that definitely happens. But it just seems like people are the most impacted by their fucking cars.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
I think car trackers bought like 12,000 cars from us.
Good for them.
They did $1 billion of cars from us.
Yeah, that's great. Okay. All right. Well, there you have it. Is that it? No more shout outs?
That's it.
Okay. Good stuff. Everyone have a great end of your week. And we will see you on Sunday. Bye-bye.